Morning, everybody. Mike Anderson here with you this morning. As always, want to thank Courtney Austin for her help putting this together. She always does a great job with all the behind-the-scenes stuff, which includes the actual deck for the presentation, as well as everything that goes into the GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar programs that we make use of there. Also want to take a minute and introduce you to two new members of the team. Deborah Jimenez and Kanisha Catrone joined us a couple months ago. They're going to be taking part in the follow-up calls that we'll be doing later on today. As always, we are in lecture mode. That means that everybody's muted, and we'll address questions when we do our follow-up calls later on today. So what we're going to do here now is turn the page in terms of orientation and strategy beginning today. I want to stress that many of the key parts of what we do haven't changed. We just think it's time to change how we respond to those key parts as we go forward. So if you've been on my webinars in prior years, you've heard me talk about the American dream. It's a phrase that was coined by writer and historian James Truslow Adams in his 1931 book called Epic of America. He talked about a life that could be richer and fuller and better for everybody. And what we're talking about today folds the idea of retirement into that. And I've spoken enough about this to know that if I asked our large crowd that's on the call here today what the American dream meant to them, I'd get just about as many different answers as we have attendees. I boil it down in our space as being a well-funded retirement adventure. And we're going to try to help and position you to have more courageous conversations. And we'll talk about that idea more later with your clients and prospects so as to get them moving toward a structure that will protect that retirement adventure. And an important thing to know, which is right smack there in the middle of our book, only 10% of the people that are in your orbit, whether it be existing clients, neighbors, people that you play golf or tennis with, cards, whatever it is, church, only 10% of those people have had a conversation with regard to long-term care. So this is what they call a target-rich environment. All right. Long-term care sales numbers are down. There's no secret. And the reasons why are not a secret either. Prospects have indigestion around value, whether the product is affordable, whether it's going to stay affordable, and whether they're actually going to get everything out of it. I used to give agents a pep talk around the old use it or lose it idea. That harkened back to the good old days when a 30-year mortgage was actually a 30-year mortgage. And when it was paid off, there was always a big party, a big celebration, bonfire and champagne and toast, and they would ceremonially burn the note because they now owned the house free and clear. And the punchline of that story was that one spouse was never lamenting the fact to the other spouse that they hadn't used the homeowner's insurance. And it was designed to diffuse the use it or lose it thing, but it's become a much bigger issue now than it was at that point in time. And if we want to succeed, we've got to respect and respond to the concerns that these folks have. And to be successful, we've got to get our clients and prospects to change their behavior and lean in. And if we want them to do that, we've got to change our behavior. We have something that most of them need and want, and we have to package it in a way that they'll engage in the discussion that will eventually lead to a sale. And that part's actually pretty simple. Okay, to change our behavior, we acknowledge and address the concerns, and we explain that we have a new and improved product that addresses the concerns that they've got. Had an old dog agent in California many years ago, and he always used to tell me, if the customer wants to buy blue shoes, we're not going to try to sell them red shoes. So keep that in mind as we move forward. All right. Beyond that, we need to stress affordability, probably above anything else. And that brings us back to a concept that we used to really acknowledge, but probably not embrace as much as we should, which is that any plan is a good plan. And that's what I mean by this 2010 mindset won't work. Okay, we really have to get our heads around the idea that any plan is a good plan. All right. And now the any plan is likely to be a stripped down version without any of the things that we once considered to be requirements. One of our team used to talk about this idea of the price point where affordability lives. Okay, well, that's moved. All right, we have to help prospects see that the new value proposition is the actual protection itself. The parlor tricks that we used to use before, the riders and such, they're too expensive to be able to really factor into the mix. That old configuration with multiple riders, the likelihood is that is not going to work today. Okay, and when I talk to people in the industry about this, I talk to annuity carriers, I talk to hybrid carriers, I talk to what I call pure hybrid carriers, where you're buying just a basic IUL with a rider on it as opposed to second to die products and things like that. And I talked to folks out of the traditional space, and everybody agreed with what I've got right here on the screen. $6,000 a year for a baseline plan that included inflation. That's not going to resonate with the customers that we've got now, plain and simple. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking at between $4,000 and $7,000 a year for that middle of the road plan. And that's before potentially you kick in something like shared care or home health care waiver. Those two were stalwarts in days gone by, but I think the simple truth of the matter is they are a thing of the past. And then you've got inflation. And the reality is that may have to go overboard. You take inflation out of the mix, it drops the price by as much as $3,500 a year for that same middle of the road plan. That's what you call cooking with gas, folks, okay? And the other piece of the puzzle, given that inflation's probably seen its best days, the other piece of the puzzle is that smaller plans probably going to lead to increased carrier appetite. If they've got less of a risk, they're probably going to be a little bit more relaxed with regard to underwriting, and that gives us more opportunities to do more things to help more people. And if the carriers rediscover that appetite, that's going to have a corresponding impact on issue rates. And there's not any way that that's a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. And that brings us back to what a wholesaling colleague, somebody that I've known for a long time in this business, calls courageous conversations. All right. And these are the conversations that others in our business don't want to have. Okay. You're going to stand out because you're willing to do what no one else wants to do. And you should be proud of that fact. The good thing about courageous conversations is it's going to take you out of the lead rat race, okay? And what I mean by that is that it's going to put you into a lane where you get to talk to younger, healthier prospects. But it's going to take a little bit of backbone, because these younger, healthier prospects are people that are already in your social circle, or they might be in the social circle of your spouse or partner. And that's okay, because they know who you are and they know what you do. And the truth is, they're probably more surprised that you haven't talked to them about this than they're going to be when you start that conversation. And Bill Murray's character in Caddyshack, Carl the groundskeeper, as he would say, you've got that going for you, okay? And it's just simply an offer to help. Simple as, Bob, hey, I'd like to talk to you and Carol about a new part of my practice, which is protecting your retirement plan. Can we get together on Tuesday night at 6 p.m. If you step back for a second and think about it, this is going to be an offer no one else has made to them. You are going to be the only one that's offered to help them with their retirement plan, okay? And it puts you in the added benefit position of, oh no, the insurance person is coming over and they want to talk about insurance. No, you want to help them solve a problem. When you get them leaning into this, the insurance is a plug and play solution that you pop in there at the end, but it doesn't happen until the very end. And it doesn't happen until you've got them really understanding just exactly how much exposure it is that they've got and how far out on the branch that they are. And if you, like I said right here, if you don't ask, you're not going to help them out. Okay. This new chapter starts now. We're going to give you the rest of the day to make your list of the first 3 or 4 couples that you would start with these conversations with. Okay. And we're here to support you every step of the way. Once you've got a commitment from your Bob and Carol Davis to have that conversation next Tuesday at 6 o'clock, give us a call. Me, Derek, Kenesha, Deborah, Dawn, we're all available. We're all available to help you game plan that next conversation that you're going to have. We'll take the information that you know about these folks. We'll help you put something together, and you'll be surprised at how simple and easy that it is. Okay, we've got the right mix of carrier options, and we can get you contracted now so that you can start this process of courageous conversations. It's important to note, we get some pushback on this from time to time. Okay, contracting is an absolute must. It's a compliance violation with all the carriers we work with. If you, as an agent, go and have a conversation with one of the clients talking specifically about one of the products that we have that you've gotten information on from us and you're not contracted, that is a compliance violation unless the carrier has your licensing information, your CE verification, and or AML if necessary, and as well as the carrier appointment on file. If you don't have that, that's a compliance violation. That's not a good thing to be in. And we will be talking to you more about that as we do the follow-up calls. All right, so now let's turn our attention to California. The actuarial report, which people have been waiting for a long, long time, it's about 100 pages. It came out on December 18th. The info is available on the web. You can find it easily if you want. And the legislature convened a couple weeks ago. So to a significant degree, it's game on, all right? The actuarial report included the 5 plan proposals that the task force created, as you can see. Okay, and the price ranges for these 5 proposals were from 0.06 all the way up to 3.0. Okay, and then they've got the benefits and corresponding cost estimates and things like that. It appears as though what is going on here is a lot better thought out than what was and frankly still is in play in Washington. Okay, a big issue in Washington and a big issue in California is the possible opt-out mechanism. Okay, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit more complicated, but taking action now is the key to that. And what I mean by complicated is that the recommendations center on the idea that once the program is enacted, okay, that would be the close of the opt-out window, all right? And on 4 of the 5, that was the recommendation that the task force made, is that they put a stop to the opt-out program on the program effective date. There was no recommendation on the 5th. So here we are again, despite shouting and hand waving by the Office of the Insurance Commissioner, we are on the runway now. And staying on top of this developing situation is going to best position your client. Truth is, whether we like it or not, politics is going to be a factor in this. Okay, and the question becomes, or seems to be, whether elected officials or those who are trying to become elected officials want to tackle another cost item, and that's a warm, fuzzy term for a tax, whether they want to tackle that with the election looming in November. The prevailing wisdom among the insiders that I talked to is that it's probably more likely that 2025 will be the year as opposed to 2024. But that's okay, because like I noted up here, you're on the runway right now. This is your opportunity to move forward with that, okay? It's worth noting that Alaska and North Carolina have entered the fray, and that means that now we have 20 of the 50 states, it's almost half the country, that are having some kind of conversation about this subject. So to say that there is a significant opportunity is a bit of an understatement. There is a lot of chatter out there, and I didn't really talk about this before, but it's important to remember that awareness about this situation is at an all-time high, and we're here to help you take advantage of that. But it goes back to the slide that I mentioned, or that I had up there for you just a couple minutes ago. It all starts with a very simple conversation, just a very simple ask. Bob, can I come over and talk with you and Carol about protecting your retirement plan? It's a new part of my practice in 2024. It won't take us very long. You'll be surprised at how easy that is, and you'll be surprised at how flattered they are that you've offered to help them with something that is, for a lot of these folks, it's pretty substantial. They've been putting money into this for 20 or 30 years. Some of them are going to have more than $300,000 there, and you're the only person that's offering the opportunity to step in and take care of them. Okay, and when you get to that point in time, as I said before, we are here to help you take advantage of that. And that, folks, brings us to closing time. All right, there's a lot of opportunities out there. Awareness is at that all-time high. It's time for you to take advantage. Make your list now. Calling time starts tomorrow. All right, that's it for our presentation today. The marketing team will be following up with you. We'll handle questions when we make those calls later on, and then we'll be following up with you more in depth for contracting and taking care of all of the detail kind of stuff. So with that in mind, call your attention to our next webinar, and that'll be on the 17th. That's going to be a deep dive into the Aetna Hospital Indemnity product. The normal cycle as far as sending invitations and such is out and underway, and we'll be in contact with everybody with regard to that as appropriate. So I'm going to wrap this up. Appreciate everybody making your time available. We'll get this processed. We'll get it up on the website, and we'll be following up with you. Thanks for your time, everybody. We'll talk to you later.